Last week, I was in this showroom service center. I took my scooter for a service. So it was a quick service because it had some problem with braking. So I took it to the service center attached to a showroom. So the technician came and he inspected the vehicle and he said the brake shoes are worn out and it need to be replaced. Well, I wasn't too convinced with what he said. So what I did is, okay, let me try something different. So I took my bike to my neighborhood garage. This garage is right next to my apartment. This is a single owner workshop. It is manned by someone by name Murugan. So he's a mechanic and he is the owner of the shop. He does the work himself and he is the only person operating this garage. Right. So I asked him, so I gave him, he inspected the vehicle like the technician in the service center did. Yeah, right. And he started the vehicle, he accelerated it. I repeat, he accelerated it. Right. And he said, sir, I know you use your vehicle very rarely, right? Mostly for short trips, right? Maybe a trip to the market or a school run or a grocery shopping, etc. You don't use the vehicle that often for long trips. And he also said the same thing. The brake shoe, especially the back brake shoe, is worn out. The front one is in immaculate condition. He asked me, what shall we do? I said, oh, why not we change this, right? So flip it. Take the front one and the charge that the service center was telling me was around 700 rupees. But this person, he did this job in 50 rupees, right? Just the labor charges. He is a very reliable person. When there was a pandemic lockdown, he was a savior for us, right? No showroom service centers were open during the lockdown. So he was the one who fixed our punctures, who did starting the vehicle, cold starting, all that. So he fixed this problem for me at a very menial rate, and he understood me very well, right? Because he know how I use the vehicle and all that. And every time I passed by that way, he used to friendly smile at me, wave at me, and all that. So it was very close, kind of. He was like a friend for us, right? He's a neighborhood mechanic. Though he had a hand-to-mouth existence, meaning if he doesn't earn that day, he will go hungry, right? That kind of person he is, but still, he didn't please me, right? So he charged a nominal rate to get the work done. So this takes me to, so the role that he just played was the role of a trusted advisor, right? The moment I read this book, the first thing that came to my mind is Mechanic Murugan, because with every act that he did, he reminded me of the attributes that are called out in this book called The Trusted Advisor. So The Trusted Advisor is a book by David, Charles and Robert. The David is a kind of person who has published a lot of books before, whereas Charles and Robert are more practitioners. They are from industry. They haven't published any books before. So these three people came together and wrote this book. So this book talks all about the qualities of a good trusted advisor. So if you look at this conversation, right, he said you seldom use your vehicle for long drives, it's only for short trips, your front brake is passively used. All of this can be mapped to one of the attributes that are said in this book. Right? There are 4 components. So how do you build trust with anyone? There are 4 components to trust building, right? Let's look at it one by one. Number 1, right, credibility. When he said you use your bike very rarely, you make only short trips, he sounded very credible, right? He conveyed that through his words. He sounded very credible. So credibility, should I move this? So he is very credible. Credibility is something that is built through proper research, right? So you have to observe. So if you have a client, if you are doing some freelance, if you want to do a client, right? So you build credibility by observing the client, knowing a lot about him, and then expressing that through words. Right? That is credibility. Reliability. During the pandemic time, he helped a lot of us. So he has a good track record of helping people. So that is reliability. So it can be built only over a period of time. It is conveyed through actions. Reliability is conveyed through actions. The third quality is intimacy. Friendly smile, waving at people. So as a consultant, we have to build that intimacy with our clients. The last thing, self-orientation. No self-orientation, right? So he could have ripped me off on that day by charging 200 rupees or 300, but he didn't do that. So no self-orientation. Lower the self-orientation, better will be the trust in the other person. This is exactly what this book is talking about, nothing more, right? So, and this book coins this in a good equation format, right? Trustworthiness is a function of credibility. C for credibility, R for reliability, I for intimacy, and SO for self-orientation. So how does the equation work? We all come from high school, right? How does the equation work? The numerator, if the numerator is increasing, if any of this components is increasing, the trustworthiness will increase. Self-orientation, if it is decreasing, this will increase, right? Simple equation, very simple, straightforward. Now, this is what it is: credibility, reliability, intimacy, self-orientation, trustworthiness. Now coming to how does it get conveyed, right? As I said, credibility is conveyed through words, reliability is conveyed through actions, intimacy is conveyed through emotions, right? Friendly smile is an emotion. Self-orientation is conveyed through motives, right? He doesn't have a motive to cheat me, right? So that motive, that is very important if you want to play a role of a consultant. Now coming to this question, it's very intuitive, right? Very simple. Then why should we read this book? That's it. This one equation is the book. Why should we read this book? We should still read this book because of the nuances. There are a lot of nuances this book talks about, which something like this, right? He said back brake shoe is fully worn out. He asked me, what do we do? He included me in the decision making process. Then I felt very good about it, right? Because he included me in the decision making, and I made that decision. For a good consultant, you should not give out the solution to the client, right? You should ask them questions and make them feel part of the process. So that is one nuances. So there are a lot of nuances. Like one another nuances this talks about it. Let's say after you're done with a consulting assignment, you are making a presentation to a group of people. So what would you ask? Do you all understand this? So if someone says, no, I don't understand this, what that means is you are making that person look stupid, right? Rather, this book says, don't ask that question. Rather, ask them, did I make myself clear? Right? So if they say no, it means that you take it on yourself, right? There are a lot of fine nuances like this book talks about. So though we know what the trustworthiness equation is, we should still try and read this book to know what these nuances are and apply it in our day-to-day job. Right? Who should read this book? I'm an employee. Why should I read this book? Because we all work for a client or some stakeholder. Right? This book was originally written for management consultants, but eventually, this is my opinion, eventually this book is now more relevant for a new breed of people who are freelancers, gig workers, and intrapreneurs. Right? So this is a new breed of people with the way the job scenario is changing. These are the new breed of people that need this book. Now, as an employee of a company, we should not become a trusted technician, right? We should not work for salary. Rather, we should become a trusted advisor for our clients. A fantastic book. If you have time, pick a copy and read it. Thank you so much, and over to you, Satish.